go. This is a panel off an old redwood egg incubator from a chicken house. This was steam powered, made in the early 1900s. But just check out how tightly the growth rings are oriented on that redwood. And it's quarter sawn. So I think this is going to make a beautiful guitar top. Alright, now I gotta cut those tongue and groove sections out, get some boards glued up, and then resaw it, and see what we get from there. After I got the board ripped out, it is about 4 7/16 of an inch wide. That means I can glue two pieces together, resaw it, book match it, and I'll have enough for a full-size dreadnought. Now it'll be a 4-piece top instead of a traditional 2-piece top, but I think using this really old growth redwood is going to be worth it. This may be a little overkill, but I'm not going to have any doubts on whether it's going to hold or not, that's for sure. Alright, next step, we got to get this bandsaw set up to resaw. I've done minimal resawing since I bought this 17-inch bandsaw. But what I have done is all came out really good, so I don't think there's going to be any issues resawing that soft redwood. I did a test run. This is, you know, about 8.5 inches thick. It's pine, so it's soft. And it is straight as an arrow all the way through that cut. I didn't go all the way through the board because I noticed there's a nail hole right here. And I don't want to ruin my expensive resaw blade in case there's still a piece of that nail in there. Went and dug through my stash, found some pretty nice mahogany. I think I'm going to make the back and sides of this guitar out of this mahogany. Resawed the sides, ran them through the planer. Pretty happy with that. Got them about 1/8 of an inch right now, so we'll get it cut down to the right size. Get those bent up, and we're getting closer to having a guitar. Yeah. That came out well. We'll joint the center and it'll look better. that I got my top, back, and sides cut out and rough thickness, the next step is I've got to build all of the jigs, templates, side benders, and everything so that I can actually make it into a guitar. And to do that, I bought this piece of paper. So I'll be able to cut this out and create templates and jigs. And I got a couple of these because I want to cut one up and I want to keep one where I can measure off of it for references and things. So I need some template and jig material before I can continue working on my next phase of the guitar. And that is taking the blueprints and creating templates. So I'll cut out the blueprints. I'm gonna glue them onto this 1/4 inch MDF board. Then we'll, cut and sand right to the edge and get them all perfect. And then we will transfer the 1/4 inch template to our thicker 3/4 inch routing templates. And this is also what I'll use to make the side bending jig and the form for bending and holding the sides in place. So when you're doing this, one thing you really got to be mindful for is to not distort the paper template, especially when it's got a little bit of wet glue on the back. So you always want to take a straight edge and put the pressure on the glue on the straight edge first. You can see I measured and put some layout lines here so I can keep it nice and straight. The other thing you got to worry about is when you got folded paper like this is making sure you get it nice and flattened out so it doesn't distort the edges. So we cut it out on the bandsaw. We got it to really close rough shape on the oscillating spindle sander. And then I just used a sanding block to smooth out any inconsistencies and check it with a straight edge. And everything is nice and square. The next thing I need to do is make a side bending jig. And so I need a half a guitar shape for that. So we got that laid out. I'll go get this cut. Well, I made a pretty good mess, but I got a lot done. So we've got our side bending machine parts fabricated. There's the sides that hold the press. And then we've got our form gluing up. And this is where we put the bent sides and keep the guitar all in one little spot. So all in all, aside from the mess, everything went fairly okay. got 50 router bits probably. And I didn't have the right one to do this job. Because either the bit was too long, and it wasn't sinking my router cable enough, or the bearing height was too tall and it hit the next layer up. So I had to go to the store and get me a new big old beefy router bit. I like it. It's a good bit. But gluing up the side bending block, it's going to be 8 layers thick, so it's 6 inches wide.
And I always use a respirator when you do MDF because that shit is painful.
While I've been working on this guitar, I haven't been taking videos to keep y'all updated. I thought I would share. This is the top all joined up and thicknessed. And I've got the backs ready to, I joined the edges, but I've still got to glue it together. I can show you guys that process. So here's the back of the guitar, and there it is, all book matched up. The book matching on this one came out nicer than on the top, but that's because the top was a single board made into 4 pieces. You know, book matching is actually when you take one piece of wood and slice it down the middle and then unfold it like this so that it matches. You can kind of see the difference between this side and this side. It's the same on both sides, because the board I glued up, I book matched it, but you just can't. It's harder to do on a 4-piece than it is a 2-piece. Anyway, we got this joint is tight. Wanted to show you guys the jig I made to join the back and sides together, or the back and top together. It's a cutting board, so glue doesn't stick to it. I put some parchment paper down just in case. And then over here we've got a series of wedges, and the wedges are what put the clamping pressure on it. When stuff is this thin, you can't just glue it with regular woodworking clamps. Of course, when it gets tension on, it's going to want to bow up, so I have to put something heavy on top of it. Worked really good for the top. Let's get the back joined up today. Continuing work on my guitar. We are inlaying the back strip. So, going with a nice piece of herringbone inlay. I got the
I made a
channel
pretty
routed.
good mess.
Just a pretty simple jig.
But I got a lot done.
Having this nice plunge router for my Dremel really makes things
So we've
easy.
got our
So
side bending machine parts fabricated.
really nice.
There's the
I test fitted it.
side
It's really good. So
press.
I'm going to get this glued
And then
up.
we've got our
And I'll show
form
you what it looks like when it's done.
gluing up. This is where we put the bent sides and keep the guitar all in one spot. So all in all, aside from the mess, everything went fairly okay. Got some more progress to show y'all. Check out this gorgeous top. Of course, the back here with the herringbone is drying and it looks beautiful. I've got to wait for supplies to come before I can do much more with the wood on this guitar, but I am going to continue building the side bender. Last week we had 2 big snow events. We had, I think, about 8 or 10 inches the first day, and then a couple days later we had about 14, 16 inches of snow, and it piled up pretty deep. Delayed my shipment of router bits that I needed to work on the guitar, and it also delayed some other stuff for the guitar, but those all came in, so I'm going to get to work. Finished trimming up the sides, and then I got the tail block in, and now I am working on the neck block. Now that the weekend's kicking off, it's time to get back to work on this guitar. I ripped some brace material. This is what keeps the top and back from collapsing on itself. I had all that beautiful quarter sawn redwood. This is a leftover piece that wasn't good for the top material because it's got like nail holes and stuff in it. But it'll be perfect for the bracing we're going to carve. So the bracing is an X pattern on the top, and on the back it's just a simple horizontal braces across the guitar. And we are going to glue it into place with the new Go Bar deck. Y'all keep up. It's going to move quicker now. Binding came. Finally ready to kick this pig. So we installed the end wedge, which is figured mahogany with tortoiseshell purfling. We'll let that dry. Then I'm going to cut the binding channels. A lot of folks been asking me, well, what about that acoustic guitar? You still working on that? Yeah.